4/21 on the 18th, which, you know what's weird, is I was born on the 18th, my mom was born on the 21st, and so it's just weird when I see those combination of those numbers, 21 and 18. So, anyways, I'm really scattered today. Like, I'm all over the place. Okay, so, but I've got a bunch of things I want to comment on. Because it's trippy is certain things that I've been commenting about, I keep getting more content on it. So it's things I've been talking about is there's more of it. There's just more. It just keeps coming. Hold on. So speaking of these enabler girls in this low standard that has been accepted by women. Oh yeah, this is weird because I was watching this movie. It was a movie. I don't know. It was like a Irish timepiece or something, a time period movie, and it wasn't yesterday. I don't remember what I watched yesterday. I don't know. Yeah, but the day before, it probably come to me. But the day before, I watched this movie. I was like, man, it was really good. It was really caught my attention. It had so many fucking things. Oh my God. I forgot I wanted to talk about it because it was, so it was this old movie. I mean, it wasn't an old movie. It was set in olden times. And so where, I don't know, the old women wore like petticoats and, like they wore their skirt was way out, like they had a lot of slips on. They did the binding thing to their chest, like where they had to, somebody had to help them get dressed if they were rich. And so this was a girl who had money, and but it was through her dad, because everything is through the patriarch. And so it's through the men. This was so outrageous, and I know this shit happened all the time. So she, so her dad died. And so then she had all these men coming that wanted to be her, what did they call it? It was like watch over her money and protect her and stuff like that. And she didn't want any of it. She said her dad had said that it was her brother. Her brother was coming with her cousins, and it was, that was what her dad wanted, and she was going to follow her dad's wishes. And she lived in this giant ass house, and she had people to dress her and cook her food, do the garden, do the horses, all that stuff. And she was, I don't know, she was a little matronly, I guess. She wasn't interested in dating or whatever, being pursued. And so she, there was this story about her uncle being a criminal. So these guardian guys kept bringing up this, well, he's a criminal and you shouldn't have him come. And she's like, well, that's what my dad wanted, and that's what I'm doing. And so, you know, he's going to be the guardian. You guys just go home. And the story was that there was a gambling debt or something, and then the guy that they owed the gambling debt was found in his room. The door was locked, though, but he was found in his room with his throat slit and hanging off the bed. And so they had always said that her uncle was the one that they looked at for, because he was the one who lost at the, whatever, the gambling thing. And so, so the uncle comes. Oh my God, it was just oh God. This is one of those things you just want to go on the screen, just punch the guy. Just the whole way, the total disrespect. She was pretty good at, you know, she was pretty smart. Some of the stuff that he would say, like she wasn't, you know, just this helpless lady. And I don't know what happened to her mom. Her mom had died a long time ago or something, because a lot of time women died young in childbirth and everything else. So this story was so crazy. I won't even be able to tell it all. So the uncle, there was just this certain way he would talk to her where it was just like, oh my God. And was so, God, the fakeness and the phoniness. And so he wanted to use the money to come back into society, to come back and get his social standing. That's all that mattered to him, was money and social standing. And his kids, so there was a boy cousin and a girl cousin. And the relationships were so tense and so awkward and so uncomfortable. And the girl was not having any of it. Then they were trying to push her into marrying her cousin, and said to keep the bloodline clean, and what better way can you, all that kind of stuff. And she was like, no, thank you. And like, she didn't like him at all. He was a douchebag. And then one time she came out in the middle of the night out of her room, and there he was out there doing it with somebody. I don't know if it was his sister, one of the maid. I don't know who the hell it was, but that really just grossed her the fuck out. And so she was like, no, she wants nothing to do with this guy. And the uncle wouldn't stop. And the uncle would always let her know, that he was in charge. Well, then they started holding her captive. The more she tried to fight against it, the more he locked it down. And all of the servants or people who worked there, they were going with what he said, even though she had been the mistress of the house this whole time. Now this guy is the guardian or whatever, so it's whatever he says. So he says, don't let her have a horse. Don't let her have a carriage. Don't let her leave. Don't let her do this. Don't let her. So she was like being locked down in her house. And she was getting more and more stressed out. Then the uncle got the son, so her cousin, to come up in the middle of the night and have his way with her. So he viciously went in and did what he did, and which ended up later on, you find out she's pregnant from this situation. But so now she's like really desperate to get away from these people, and she starts trying to pay him off to get him to leave. Well, then they go at the thing, because then they pay off one of the doctors to try and get her locked up into a mental ward. And so see what they used to do all the time. If a woman didn't do what she was told, she was crazy, and they would lock her up. And then they talked about what they would do. It was like this waterboarding thing. They said they would dump 3 tons of water on her and all sorts of stuff. And so if a woman didn't do what she was told, she was crazy, and then they would torture her and lock her up and stuff. And men had all of the power, and she didn't have any. And so it was just getting more and more intense. And so one of the times, the uncle pulls her out to talk to her, and then he lets her know, it was your dad who killed that guy, wasn't me. And he had told me if I kept his secret and I took the blame, I would get the money in the will. That's why I'm on the will. And now you're trying to like pay me off and get rid of me. This is my money. And she's just broken. She's like, oh my God, what are you talking about? My dad is the one who killed him. And she was just like all tore up, because she had looked at her dad as like a moral role model. And so he had said that he was having the gambling issue, and so he borrowed money from the uncle or something. So he borrowed the thing for the house. So the uncle was gonna, the dad was gonna lose everything, and the uncle lost everything to this guy, this gambler guy. So the dad was not having it, and so he climbed up the side of the house in through the window. That's why the doors were locked, and he did the guy in. And then they had thought that the uncle did it because he was the one who had lost, so he was the one who took the blame. But he didn't go to jail because they could never prove it, because the door was locked and they could never figure out, like, well, how would he have gotten in? How would he have killed him and stuff? So they kept saying, well, he must have done it to himself. But there was always this edge of like, meh. So so then the girl, she just wanted to pay him off. She wanted him out of her house. She wanted him gone. And there was so much conniving. Oh my God, it was so disgusting what people would do for money. It was so disgusting. And and so the daughter or something where she was forcing him to make the cousins leave. And the uncle was pissed. So he's all acting like, okay. Oh, and it was at dinner. So the cousins were supposed to leave the next day. And the governess of the girl, she has a meltdown breakdown because she's really the mother. And she's like to the girl, didn't you know? Didn't you know? And the girl is just like, no, because now, she'd be considered a bastard because her mom wasn't married. This governess wasn't married to her dad, and now she's the product of this illegitimate marriage, which was a huge stigma for a long time. Even when I was younger, that was still a thing. A bastard. You'd hear people say that. And, it was just like shameful. And so, like, you had to only conceive children in a marital relationship. Otherwise, it was a total stigma. And that's why it was such a break. Some of the things where society have gone has been a breakthrough, but then it just goes further and becomes a breakdown. So, but we did take things from some of the most atrocious kind of behaviors. So anyways, the governess mom lady, she's losing her fucking mind. She's losing her shit because that's why she was the governess, is so she could be near her child. I don't know who she was before, how he knocked her up or whatever the hell happened, because this is an adult girl. And so she's been taking care of her whole life. She's been there with her as her governor. She never got to say she was her mom, but she always thought that the daughter had to know. And so she's losing her mind because now she's supposed to leave and the governess lady's fired. You just get the fuck out of here. So she has this meltdown at dinner. So everybody's just like, what? Skeletons are coming out. So everybody's just like, what the hell? Especially it's at this really prim and proper kind of uptight kind of way that people were then. And hold on. So the uncle, he decides he's going to climb the side of the building, come up through the window, because she's locked her doors down because the uncle's trying to force her into marriage with his cousin. The cousin just goes in and does what he wants, but the cousin says the dad makes him do it. And so she's got her doors locked and stuff. Well, then she gets even trickier. So she goes and gets her girl cousin and says, here, I want to give you something before you leave. Has her come in and she's looking at stuff and she gets her drunk. And so at the whole time, she's looking out the window and sees her uncle going up, climbing through all this building. And so she gets the girl to drink some sherry or something. And so the girl passes out. So now the main character girl, she goes over and she hides. So the uncle or whoever, I think it might have been the cousin, is the one climbing. So he's climbing in. He gets through. He goes to the door, opens the door. So it's whatever. Now you got the uncle and the cousin both in there. And they're going to pick her up and throw her out the window. And so they do her in. And then they're going to tell everybody that she did herself in because she was distraught because her dad died or whatever. Or she'd been acting crazy anyways. And so then they realize that they have the wrong person. So they don't. Well, now the girl, she's taken off running. And now she's got the uncle pursuing her. And I think the cousin, but they're going in different ways or something. She's running down the hall. The governess lady's hanging. She's done herself in. She's lost her mind. So she's running and hiding. And the uncle finds her. And so then the uncle's going to do her in. So she grabs, they're in the kitchen. She grabs one of these and she does into him. And so he falls down and dies. So then she takes off. She's trying to get to one of those guys' houses that said that he would be the guardian and not the doctor, because now he's been paid off. So she's trying to get to this other guy. I don't know if he was a lawyer or a money person, something. Because not anybody, they just didn't go out and find any old peasant and say, here, be the guardian. No, they had to be somebody of social status. And so she is running up his thing screaming and stuff, and the cousin's right behind her on horseback. And so he comes out, and then they end up saying the whole story about that the governess was the one who had, the uncle, so she didn't have to take any kind of, because that, I mean, back then, it would have been just like a hanger. And there would have been no excuse. Like a woman, it doesn't matter what they do to you. There's no excuse. You can't do anything back. And so the story became the governess had done it, and that she then did herself in because of this whole thing of her losing her job or something, because they couldn't tell that what the whole situation was. There were so many secrets from people's past. There's just people kept secrets because they didn't want to be stigmatized by the social class, it's like the parameters that kept people kind of behaving badly and creating lies. And so the the lady got her cousins to leave, and she got her house back, and she got to go on and live. And then she had that child, because at this point she becomes super pregnant, and so she has a baby, and so she goes on with her life and gets rid of them. But it was like this whole crazy dramatic story, but the whole way of how women were treated, and how they had the money but it didn't matter, that the men can take the money. You had to have a man over your money. It was the craziest. I couldn't even believe, because it has been stuff that I have been thinking about and stuff lately. And so on this other video, so I've been talking about like when women and standards and stuff. And so this video I saw last night was so this girl, she's in court right now. She just got her sentence, and she got 100 years. And then people were talking about, like, oh, look at her in here crying in court because she got 100 years. But I'll tell you what her crime was. Hold on. And I said before, oh God, there's so many women in prison that were involved with men's crimes. And so this girl was a nanny or a babysitter for disabled kids. So she would go to the house and take care of these disabled kids, and their age range was like 3 to 7, and they mostly were nonverbal and had some type of disability. Well, she would, and this went on for a couple years, what they found, because so she would go and get them all fixed up and tell the parents that she was taking them out for a fun day. Where she would go was over to her boyfriend's house, and then she would take him in and get him all undressed and all set up on the bed for him to come in and have his way with them. And 3 to 7 year olds, oh my God. And then they couldn't say anything. But one of them, at some point, she did try and communicate something to her mom. And her mom figured out that she was trying to tell her, and she called the cops. And the cops came, did an investigation, and then went into the further investigation and found out. That's how they figured out, like, oh, this has been going on for a couple years, man. And she had been doing this with her pedo boyfriend. And so I don't even know what he's going to be charged with or whatever, but she is charged with a bunch of stuff and got 100 years for it. But there's still going to be a cleaning out the system, I'm telling you. Maybe, okay. Yeah, maybe okay. Because it is like, seems like there's going to be people who are in jail for certain crimes, and to our reality, they're going to just be gone because they're not going to be able to go up because they're in the low vibration. But that doesn't mean that necessarily they're going to die. It's like they switch into a different reality. It's like they go into this reality that is where you continue to face yourself. Where, a lot of us would think, well, that's hell. But that's how the soul heals. That's how the soul grows. So it's like they'll go more deeper into the like the karmic debt, kind of the yeah, I hear resolution and resolve, but what I see is her in prison, and then like this splits apart when we go into this other world, and then it's like, well, what happens to all these people? Well, it's like their world becomes the world they created. So it's like her reality becomes this jail, and it becomes its own reality. It's trippy. It's like dreams splitting off from dreams, which this is something that I gotta talk about. This was so fucking weird. Hold on. Okay, I've had the ability before. This isn't something that I've never done before. But, so to go to sleep, go in a dream, get woke up, do something, because usually I have to get up, get telemedicine, go pee, something like that. Go back to bed, and go right back into the same dream. And so I've done that before, but last night was the most highest degree of that I've ever had. And so the trippy thing was this dream too. It was like something, I don't know. I've had dreams before where I thought like, man, it was like I was in a movie or something. Which this is all in color too. Because there's certain things about some people dream in color and some people don't or something. But I dream in color, and I dream in different perspectives. So it can be me seeing through my eyes, or it can be me watching. A lot of times I'm watching. But this one was trippy because it was changing perspectives in the fucking dream. So I was, so in this dream, I don't even remember the whole thing. It was so fucking long. I was still dreaming it this morning. The third or fourth time she woke me up. I kept going back into the same dream. But it was like going back in and going and finishing the movie I was watching. Because it was like a movie. And so the premise was, and it was kind of, I don't know, it was a little bit old. It was like I was in a movie. And it was in mystery. And it was like a little bit time period piece. And so me and this other person were taking this person. We were traveling them somewhere. It seems like there was a part where we were on a train or something too. I don't remember every little detail, but it was very detailed. It was so detailed. I couldn't believe how. Because it wasn't just like big scenes. No, it was like every scene in between. It was exactly like watching a movie. And only I was one of the characters in the movie, and that's where it would change perspective, because sometimes I would see it from my perspective, but then other times I was like watching what was playing out besides my own perspective. And so I was involved somehow with this guy who was taking this other guy someplace. And the other guy was this old man. He was like, I don't know, he wasn't like disabled, but he was like very invalid type of old man. And he was, in this part seems like we were on a train. But I don't know, because in dreams, you switch out, and all of a sudden you're here and there and stuff. So this, but kind of like the premise thing was, so on this train or something, so this little girl disappears. And I don't remember. It seems like there was something bound, like her sucker or a shoe or something. So this little girl has disappeared. So we, in this old man. So this old man and this little girl disappeared. So then there's a search party. So we're all out searching. So now we're not on the train. We're out searching. And it's kind of like by a river or something. And there's a lot of stuff growing up in this hilly. It was like very particular, this place we were at. And so almost to the point where I was like, is this a movie and that is real already? And I'm seeing it or something. It's the weirdest thing. So, so we're out there searching for this guy and this little girl. And so, it was weird because we find this guy, And it was so weird. It was just, the whole thing was so weird. And he was like laying out there naked next to the water or something. So any he acts like he's all out of it. Oh, he's, has no idea anything. But to me, in my mind, I'm already suspicious because I'm already thinking, oh, is this a pretend thing? Like, did he take the little girl and now he's pretending that he was also taken and hid and, kidnapped or whatever to throw people off from that he's really the one that took the little girl, which was the case. And so, but now, and then once I had told this other guy, then we start like becoming like these detectives trying to figure it out. Because now he's got the guy back. There's no little girl, but we got the guy back. And he's such a, oh God, he was, oh, I can see him perfect too. And he was so annoying. He's such a phony ass, invalid old fucking creeper. So so then there's this whole thing of us, like, I don't know, like we're the detectives trying to figure it out. So it's like this, reminds me of like these books or something when I was a kid, like, I don't know, Detective Julie Brown or something. I don't remember. It was, but there would be these books of these kid detectives, but we weren't kids. We were adults, but we were the ones who were trying to uncover the truth. And then there was a point where another kid had gone missing. And so it's all of this whole story is trying to uncover the truth and figure him out. But then it's just going with this long story from all these different perspectives of then more police are involved and more things, more situations happening. And then I would get up, go pee, give Stella medicine, go back, lay back down, go back into the dream. Then get up, do it again, go back into the dream. And it kept going all night until when she just woke me up the last time. I was still in the dream. And this part was really weird because it was something about this eating thing. And all these people, it was like a whole group of people that were eating. Oh my God, it was the grossest stuff. It was like, it was really weird too how I was seeing it. Because I was like, I don't know, like somebody saying that they, like at this dinner, they were going to have this certain thing. And I was just like, oh my, and then it would switch into my perspective. And I would be like so grossed out by whatever it was. And then I would see all these different things, of these different food. I saw so much gross stuff. I don't even know if it's real. But if it is, like, people eat things while they're alive, for one thing, and then they eat whole bodies too, of like kittens, rabbits, all sorts of stuff. God, it was so disgusting. And it was like I was sitting at the dinner table watching all these people eating this stuff. It was so gross. But the other day I did see a video of a woman, and I've heard other people talking about this. She got herself involved with a cult or something, an occult kind of culty kind of group. They were all into witchcraft or something. I'm not sure. And so she's all hanging out with this group. And that's the movie I watched yesterday. I forgot about that. God, that's weird how that happens. So this one was from the 70s, and this one was this psychiatrist, which in another movie I just recently watched too, was a black and white one where the girl was having this weird thing happen, like at night. Somebody was coming in her room and luring her out or something, and she was getting confused if it was real. So she wanted this psychiatrist to come, and she was a real rich person. And there was always people staying at her house, always having parties and stuff like that. So she had this psychiatrist come and him stay in the room and be the solve the mystery. And so, but it was weird because it was like, now this one was the 70s, and so this one was having this psychiatrist come. And so, and this was an old-timey actress's house. No, it wasn't her house. It was this old-timey actress who was still just, she was a drunk. She was still just so ego-driven and whiny, and oh god, she was annoying. And so she was the guardian of the two daughters because their parents had died, and it was their rich ass house that they lived in. So it was another one of these guardian things. And the girls, which the one girl seemed like she would have been an adult, but they didn't consider them adults until they were like in their 20s. So they had to have this guardian who was just this drunk old, drunk old lady, and she she was I don't know. There was a lot of weird stuff in this movie because there was this weirdo fucking guy who was there, and she, I don't know, he was lusting after one of the girls, but this lady was like, well, we're the same age, we should get married. And then he just wanted to marry into the money and get control. But it seemed like he was more part of this occult group than these. It's like they were using these people in their house to be this occult group. And they had a cool ass house out on the beach, one of those big sprawling houses on the cliffs of a beach and stuff. And they had another house, a guest house that was out where this black guy, who I think he was off room 222, but he was a folk singer, and he was in this fucking house. Was cool as fuck, the one he lived in. But they had him go out there, and he could go live in this house and go write his music. And he had a cool ass fucking house. So that was just their guest house. So it was this big sprawling house. I don't even know how her parents made all their money, because the actress lady, she's just living off their money. And then she was just such a basket case over, because a lot of these people, you know, I think I've talked about that before, they go into becoming actors or actresses to feed into their ego, or, you know, to make them see something to like about themselves or something. And so, and then some of these girls, they get like used, and then they don't really build up the side of themselves to like themselves. And so then their career fizzles or goes out at some point, and then they're still stuck at that same range of development. So they're still stuck on, you know, does anybody like me? I don't like myself, you know what I mean? Which, just Jamie Lee Curtis right now, like, what the fuck? What the hell did she do to her body? And the Dolly Parton has she done to her chest? It's like, what? This cannot be natural. Like, why in the world? What in the world? I don't even know. I mean, it's like, did you put a fake body over your body? Because it looks weird as shit. And she was more like my body. Now she's a Dolly Parton body. But so, anyways, in this movie, the girl is in this occult movie. So these occult people befriend them, I guess, like to have access to their money in their house. I'm not really sure. And so they, you know, here, have a drink. And then it's some kind of weird hallucinogenic, druggy kind of thing. I'm not sure. But that is what they really do in real life. And so then the people get really confused. Did this happen? Did it not happen? And then there's a whole part of what is that called? When they have to do the, you know, like a ritual, and then they have to give an offering of another person, and then they all bathe in the blood of whoever. So there was one of those, and they have to do it on the full moon, which I just saw another video of a guy talking about that before Halloween, before this big celebration that they have in the occult, that a lot of homeless people go missing, and then they just keep them in a place like a prisoner until the night of the thing. And that's what this guy was. So he was a homeless guy, and they got him, and then they brought him, and this is in the 70s, and then they brought him, and then they got very all drugged up, except for the ones that are, you know, praying to Lucifer. There's a lot of praying to Lucifer. And I don't know, Beelzebub. I don't know. There was a couple name throwing things. Alistar or something. I don't know. There's a few names of these gods, or people think of demons or whatever, but these darker spirits that you know, put their energy, if you want to, you know, pull them in and feed off their energy, they'll feed off your energy. And so that's why you got to watch out, like what you do and who you get involved with. And so, because it's no joke, it's no joke when you're pulling in off of like, because even if there's not a true character named Lucifer, then you know, there's a character who becomes him. There's somebody out there feeding off of your worship and desire, and they'll participate in your, you know, your query. So confirmation. So, anyways, the one girl who does the ending of the homeless guy, she ends up doing herself in, because I guess she can't get the visions out of her head or something. And so she does herself in. So that's the beginning of the movie. Where the psychiatrist now, he's the, you know, trying to solve the mystery. The best friend, she is really pursuing him. She thinks like they were from a past life together or something, and she's pursuing him, but he's got morals and she doesn't, because she is like one of the top leaders in this cult. And so one of the top witches or whatever. And so there's a whole bunch of different things that occur in this whole movie of this whole thing. But it was just weird because of seeing these different things. So this was a video, though, of a woman who, she was saying that this actually happened to her. So she went and she joined in with this group, this occult group, and she's going to their parties and, you know, whatever, having their ritual things, but everything was just like, I don't know, I guess lighting candles and humming together or something. Nothing that was freaking her out so much. And she was enjoying all these relationships with all these people. Oh yeah, another thing too that it said in the movie was about these bloodlusts or whatever, these orgies and stuff they would have. And so they'll have these orgies and crazy sex things, all in regards to this. I think that might even be in that Nicole Kidman, Tom Cruise, Scorsese, is that the guy who did that? Whoever with that movie. I can't think of what it's called, but it gets referenced a lot. I mean, then they're all wearing masks and robes and stuff. I think under their robes they're naked, and they all do like a little, let's all have sex together movie. After they get all turned on by their weirdo shit that they do, taking somebody else's life gives them more life. And just drink the adrenaline, and then they're all pumped up on someone else's fear. Oh yeah, that just came into my mind too. What is it? I can't see it good. Because it's another thing about that. Something about a guy who ate the brains of somebody, and then he could see that guy's memories or something. I don't know. There's science is checking into a lot of weirdo shit because things are weird. So anyways, so she so she's at this party this one night, and everybody's partying and drinking whatever this weird stuff that they drink. And she said that all of a sudden that they bring out a body, and she said it's all set up for supper. And she starts freaking the fuck out, and people are going over, taking pieces off and eating it and stuff. And she's freaking the fuck out. She starts screaming and losing her mind, and she just takes off running. And somebody comes running after her and chasing her. And she runs into some room, because I guess they do it in these mansions and shit. And so she goes running into this room, and it's hysterical. And this guy comes running in and tells her she needs to calm down. She needs to stop acting like that. And she's like, you know, freaking out. That's a dead body, blah, what are we doing? And he's like, no, it's not. It's art. It's not real. And she's like, that is real. Don't fucking tell me that's not real. And he's like, that's not real. And she's like, that's real. And so, anyways, she left that group. and didn't go back. And now she's online talking about like they for real bring out body and then they consume it, which I mean, anybody who's been following along with these weirdo people, you hear this stuff in the conspiracy world. You hear this stuff for a long time that they do that. It was weird too, there was this period of time where this somebody I knew had a baby, and for some reason it just kept coming into my mind, this baby on this table being consumed. I was like, where is this coming from? Where is this coming from? I kind of feel like it was because it was really happens, and it was somehow, I got tapped into that communication line or something, and I kept seeing it and seeing it and seeing it to where it was really driving me insane. And I was like, oh my god. For a while though, I thought I was insane. The same thing when I was waking up to this part where I was realizing about this life as this gay pilot. At that point too, the way it was coming in, I was feeling like, am I crazy? What is these visions? What am I keep seeing this? And so I don't know. I sure the fuck hope I never was a part of some kind of party like that. Or bring in the baby, let's eat dinner. It's like, ugh. But that in my dream last night, there wasn't any of that. It was, but there was kittens and rabbits and all sorts of stuff. God, it was so disgusting. It was so detailed. I could see so much. I could still see it. But anyways, sometimes visions are not fun. That's for sure. And they'll keep going and going and going. And I don't know if it's because it's something that you need to acknowledge or something. It's something that you're trying to see or remember or understand. But you'll keep getting them and getting them until it starts making you feel like you're going crazy. So anyways, that lady, she, she's out there now talking about like that really, really happened. Just like the other guy who he said that he had gone to that fancy party where they were eating mermaid. And there was another one too that I'd seen a while ago I talked about before was somebody who worked somewhere at this place where it was like a very elite kind of place where people would go eat or something. And it seems like the kind of place where you would never get out of. Like, you go and work here, how do you ever go back to real life? Because this, maybe it's Allie. Maybe it was one of the survivors that talked about this. But she said that it's like this fancy kind of, where, we would think, oh, this fancy kind of restaurant. But what's on the menu is stuff that we wouldn't want to have. And they'll bring it out. And these hoity-toity ladies will sit around this table with this little, they really like dark meat. And they will, because it has more stuff in it, melanin and stuff. So they would have this on their table and they'd all be sitting there eating it, just like what that lady was talking about. And it's, oh no, so disgusting. I just don't get it at all about wanting to consume another, even though we're not even real, it's still, there's, in their world, it is real. They're really doing it. It's what they keep themselves alive. It's so weird, it really is so weird and twisted how that this is like a dream or an illusion. It's all, nothing's really real. And that we get into it. It's like going into a dream and then somebody in the dream trapping you in the dream and telling you can't get out of the dream and everything in the dream is real. So then you start to make it real. And so, because, our bodies really have an effect to the stuff that's going on in this world. this, how they can affect our health and stuff. And but it's through our own belief system is how they do it. So it's like they got to convince us that it is what it is so that we make it happen. But that's what's going to be the cool thing, is that once we break out of the program, then we create something different and we get to have an experience more like what we want to experience instead of what they want to experience, because they want to feed off of us. And so they've got to get us to create something for them to feed off of or something. It's so weird. It's also convoluted. So I have a bunch of things coming into my mind. So it's like a traffic jam. Which the first video I saw this morning was a girl losing it. She was so losing it. And she was bawling her head off, and she cannot believe that people will post. They will go and videotape these horrific things and then post them. And she just happened to run across one that was her own brother dead in the street. And somebody would post that. And, yeah, it's people are so like heartless, thoughtless. It's like lacking their soul. But everybody, like, there's so much talk of, well, not everybody has a soul. Well, what is powering them then? What is the energy that powers them to be alive if they don't have a power source? You know, it's like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Everybody's got a power source. How much do you feed into your soul, and how much do you feed off of your soul, though? So when you feed into your soul, then your soul sprouts and grows. And so, you're watering your soul, then it's sprouting and blossoming. And that is the group of people who will be going in to create a new world that is full of other people sprouting into their soul. So everybody's soul is like growing and blossoming. So their energy is becoming more pure. And so the vibration that creates this new existence, this new reality. And so that is like the group of people that go there, the ones that are watering their soul. Other people, it's like they're not watering their soul. They're watering their ego. They're watering their fear. And their soul is like kind of like what they say about the pineal gland or something. It's kind of like it is decaying or something. And their energy is becoming dimmed and dull. And so it's because they're being fed off of, and they are, it's like they are giving up their parts of themselves for this fear and ego and their desires. So that is why in this world that we're in right now, there is so much with the desire, the darkness of the desires, and it becomes a fetish. Because like I said, at one point you're breaking free from something, but then at another point, it's like feeding too much into it. There's got to be like limitations comes to my mind, but also it's not like the soul needs to just have limitations, because I mean, all these different souls are experiencing this, so it is part of what the universe feeds off of its own self. And so but for a healthy individual, you find balance, so you don't feed into your fetishes and stuff. And I don't know, that was something that was loud and clear to me when I was young. It was like, well, you could look at that, but if you start wanting to look at that, you better question yourself. So you can see this, but if you start, well, I want to see more, I want to see more, then you got to start going like, wait a minute, let's put on the brakes here. Why? Why do you want to see more? It's like, that is finding your balance. That's creating, it is like a limitation for your own well-being. Otherwise, you become a product of the desire, the fetish, the fear. We have so much fear. I mean, even religion is based on fear. People think they're so close to God when really they're just scared of him. And it's a, this individual in the sky that they created that isn't even really there. It's like the same thing in the village when they said that there is this creature out in the forest and you can't go out into the forest. It's like that's the same thing that they did about God. He's there watching you. He's judging you. He doesn't like most of us. And if you want to be in his good favor, you better say his name and you better be, it's like this whole fucking thing. And so people are all like, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And then it becomes a fear. So it's in the God that I align with, if you want to think of a God, is an energy of love and light. How they say all that, the love and light, but it is really, where do you focus your energy? And if you focus it on fear, then you're feeding into that energy. And then if you focus on love and light and purity and this higher vibration, then that's where your energy goes. But it is the thing, what was the problem with the love and light people was that they didn't want to be real. They just are like, well, we're just focused on love and light. Nothing else is real. And it's like, well, nothing else is real except for the storyline that we are all in, because it is a part of the growth of humanity, of mankind's evolution. So this story is real. And what was it? There was something else somebody was talking about. And I was like, see, destiny is real. Destiny is like, it's the storyline you're in. There is a destined, you're playing a role. There's no changing it out. It's like you play it through for the experience. And so the people who are here to experience this darkness and they are going to go in this other direction, they it's their destiny, it's their role that they're playing, and it has to do with an impact on humanity and mankind, because it gives us a parameter in our vision of seeing, wrong from right and good from bad and stuff, to find our own balance. So they give us this visual kind of experience for us to witness, so that it helps us to grow and to see. But all these other people, they just want to close their eyes and just focus on love and light, but you're not paying attention to the dark. And in the dark is where you also have to heal yourself, because then you see that you have darkness also. And so that is a part of where these love and light people, they aren't doing the work to actually do the healing. But there's a part of them that is like, either they don't want to face it, they don't want to see it. There's something, because on a deeper spiritual level is that's where, you see the dark, but that, to me, it's like, it's not real. Like, this isn't real life. We have a real life outside of this, but you see the purpose and the point behind all experience. And because it's the way that the universe feeds itself into becoming, the all-knowing. Because how can you know all if you don't see all? And so every single experience is a link, is a part, a parameter to the all-knowing God mind, to have, like I said, it's like every what if can play out, so that gives the God mind more, because how could you be a God mind if you're not willing to see everything? And so you have to see everything. That doesn't mean that you like it, but it also is like you learn from it. And that's what all the souls learn from their choices. The things that they choose is there's consequences behind our choices. Every choice, everything that we decide, it doesn't matter what it is, there's always lessons to learn from every experience. The thing is that you're set in your experience. So where we get ourselves so like, do I do this or do I do that? Do I do this or do I do that? Is kind of an illusion. because you're always going to do what you're going to do. And I don't know how to get out of the part of like the 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 back and forth. It's like, I mean, I feel like I'm working on that. And what I work on with that is just to keep on being like, well, there's a flow. And in order to stay with the flow, you just go with the flow and just trust that a door opens. Something shows you the direction to go. Otherwise, you're just going along the journey. And you have meetups throughout your transits, the places where you meet up with the other individuals that are there to experience with you or teach you, or it's just like your journey in life. And so, but the choices you make are always the choices you are going to make. You're not ever throwing the universe off because the story is written and you are just the replay of the story. So you don't really have much choice over what it is you do. You're here to just play a role, do your thing. And as the soul, it has to do with you acknowledging yourself and seeing yourself and understanding yourself. And so it all has to do with your growth and expansion of self. But, like right now, we have a lot of people who have very dim lights. So but they're still got a power source that has them be alive, even though they've been feeding into the dark, which takes from them. So it dims their light as a soul. But, you know, uh, but there is a thing, like once you go into a certain like karmic thing, there's certain choices you can make where you have to play it through. You have to go through the whole thing. You cannot just go and do something and go, oh, well, made a mistake there, I'm not doing that. No, you have to go through and see it from all perspectives because you are judging. You're judging that this is good or bad. But when you go into every experience, even, a killer, then you see what drove the killer. Well, are they good or bad? No, you see them from a different perspective. You see what drives them. How do they get there? And somebody who steals. A lot of time when I think about somebody who steals and thievery and stuff, where that has been a lot of judgment by our society and stuff, but a lot of times when I'm looking at that, I always see it in a desperation. So there's a lot of things out of desperation that people do, out of being lost, that they do. So then you have to go in and experience, like you go and so you are the thief, and then you experience yourself and you see it from the perspective of the thief. Then you find yourself in judgment of, well, it's my mom's fault, she didn't teach me. So then you go in and you play the role of a mom of the thief. So it may not be your mom, it could be a different, it depends, because like I said, it's very convoluted. So you could be playing your own relations. But so then you would go in and you would see it from the mom's perspective, and then you would see all the problems that created for her in her experience, which I just want to say this too, because when I went upstairs a little while ago, the moon was way over there. Like a crescent moon way on the other side. So a lot of times I think where I'm like, well, there's no moon. It must just be on the other side. So it just goes where it wants, does its own thing. It just, yeah, this whole thing of like, oh, it goes like how they tell us this rotation, this east to west kind of thing, and that they go like, no, it just does whatever. It's over here, it's over there, it's everywhere. And oh yeah, and we got this big storm coming in now where, and who knows, because this went in the last year too, where everybody was like freaking out when these hurricanes were coming. So now Aaron is coming, and now people are relating it to the Simpsons thing, and the time traveler said that this was going to happen. And so people are saying this is going to wipe out the East Coast. And I think today it hits into Bermuda, where that's where my daughter's thing is going, because I guess apparently the Disney cruise, Disney has its own fucking island. It's over by Bermuda or something, which that's just weird. The Bermuda Triangle, or the whole thing is just weird. An island, and you know whose islands are nearby, and it's just this whole world is so fucking warped and weird. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what destruction's going to be, but even when Hawaii was burning down, there were still tourists going. It was like, well, what's for supper? Why aren't you guys out there dancing? It's like, so, yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I mean, the corporation is going to keep us going. If we're not involved, and just keep going, participating in the 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 decline of our society. It's like the defeat. It's like that's a part of them trying to defeat us or something. So, anyways, I don't know what's gonna happen with this thing, but it's just weird because my daughter is well. I mean, I'm supposed to be flying here soon, which is fucking a nightmare to me. It's like going up in these multiple reality skies and going, and there's so much more videos of people showing like these weird skies where you can tell that it's like more than one sky. It's because we're merging in with these different realities. It's not like in our physical idea of a sky, but it's really these energetic vibrations merging. And in the illusion, it's changing our sky because it's changing the vibration. And the other things that are at that vibration are becoming into our vibration. And so there's this merging, and then we're going up and flying around in it. It's like, it's just wacky to me. I don't know, this whole thing, everything is all whacked out. So, the, but the people, so you go in, and then, I mean, one thing is like everything is like keep out of judgment, even though it's hard. It's like a natural part of us or something, but it's a natural part of like growth. But that is like where that Mateus de Savino said, when you get to the highest vibration, there's no judgment. But when there's no judgment, there is no identity. It's like you don't even know who or what you are. And that's what, to me, is the start of the pursuing, well, who and what am I? Once you get to a state of consciousness of understanding who and what you are, so you could think of that kind of like this ascension. But I know we ascend and descend over and over and over, but I just don't think we go right back up to the place where you are like, who and what am I? Because at some point you start to understand who and what you are. And that is the kind of pursuing the opportunity to exist, to experience yourself. And in the places where we can go and experience the most, well, it's got like, a lot of atrocities and stuff. So it's a more depth to your experience is in the lower vibration, because in this higher vibration where we go, it's like, I mean, at some point it's going to be great for a long while. It's going to feel like, oh my God, is this the best thing ever? No problems. But at some point, then it's going to be like, well, I've been doing this for a long time, and what growth comes from just enjoying things. So growth comes more from the struggle or helping others or whatever. Because that's one thing, is once, this is how I understand it, once the soul goes and ascends, which we're having this huge ascension now, this huge graduation into knowing yourself and to becoming the creator that you are, and going into this new plateau of existence where we create, heaven on earth. We create all our dreams come true, where we get to live out our dreams and experience and love and what is that? I'm getting the wrong words. Love and like community, where we get to feel like really connection. So we get to really feel how good it feels to be connected to one another, because that's kind of like a heavenly concept too, because down here everything is broken and scattered, and we feel disconnected from ourselves, and we're always yearning to find somebody to complete us, to make us whole, so that we can feel love and we can feel connection. But what we have found is that an artificial love, we've been going at it in the wrong direction. Well, in this new one is where we go into really the expression of love and connection. And so we get to go and experience what that is like. And then we get to do it for as long as we want. We just get to, live our lives the way we want to live them. And so in that time, when at some point in time, then it's like, well, I don't know if it's like your connection to ancestors or something. Like, a lot of the people who, like, we could have family members or people that we're close to that are going to go into the other uh, continue learning, whereas there's going to be a group that's going to go into, like, the party afterwards. It's like the wrap-up party, and then the other ones are going to continue making movies. And so at some time, if there's not a yearning pulling you back because of the struggle, and so then you, as the ascended individual, descends, goes back in to play a role in order to help out your bloodline, your ancestors, your soul group, your connections. So you go back into the experience and play a role, and in order to move help move the direction, to help move your bloodline or whatever it is. It keeps you connected to what these different souls, these different ties that you have. And so then you go back into the experience as a more evolved soul, so you don't get so caught up in the bullshit. You're able to go in more as with more discernment, able to look at things deeper, which I feel like kind of that was kind of like my ability through this life, because a lot of people didn't know, like, if you see this, but then they don't know that once you want to see it, that's where you need to draw a line. They indulge into it, so they feed into it, and they keep going and going and going. Well, there's some of us that it came into us, as a natural part of our soul, is to know, oh, don't do that, that's not good, that's not good, that's not good. And so we were able to keep ourselves more out of the certain things, the trappings, where the web, got you caught. But see, then the ones that know, to watch out for this or watch out for that, then that brings in this other energy that ripples out. And so it helps the others grow. But that's why this other group, who are these old souls, they know to watch out for these people who are descending and coming back to help the party line pull itself free. So this cycle happens all the time. So it's not just like, okay, well, now we're going to ascend and we're going to go into the heavens and we're going to create heaven on earth and then we're going to stay there for eternity. No, there's still this cycles that occur in the universe. So you still go back and go back, but you go back as an ascended soul. So you go back with knowledge that the others are just trying to break free from. And so then you scatter your energy, and then you help all these other people pull themselves out, because you can't save anybody. You can't do it for them. Everybody has to do it for themselves. But you can spread the word. You can help them by walking the truth, the path to the truth, and then it helps the other people to be able to see. And so, and we're going to have this split off. So we know there's going to be a whole bunch of people that are going to go in to continue their lessons. And it's not because they're failing. It's not because they're doing it wrong. It's not because they're bad people. It's because they still have these different perspectives in order to get the full view of what it is they're learning. So it is, it's just more soul growth. Like, we're just going in, there's just different soul experiences that are going to be splitting off. So there would still be no matter if this is your first ascension, this would be your first time of ever doing any of this work to become your own truth, to become your own God, to become your more clarity on who and what you are as a living being, which is your energy, which is your orb, which is your essence. So becoming more clear over who and what you are, and then you go to, party out and experience what it is to feel good, to not just feel all this pain and suffering all the time. And so you let go of the pain and suffering, though, in order to move forward. So you have to face your guilt, your shame, your pain, your suffering. You have to face the darkness that you have, the parts that you've played in the dark. And then you ascend and go into that other, but you have a whole bunch of people who you're connected to who are going into the other. But so then it's like you go back as like a superhero, you go back as a god, you go back as a evolved human, you go back as all these different things to help again move people out. And it won't be the exact same, but there will be similar worlds where the people continue to go and experience themselves through these different there's different cultures, there's different things, I saw this one video yesterday. So this girl, which goes along with the stuff I've been saying, so she's from, I would guess she's Muslim or Islamic, I'm not sure. One of the ones that cover all their hair, but she didn't have to wear one of these things, but all of her hair is covered. And with those black, I think she had a gray thing on too. But so in her video, she's removing her makeup and she's telling a story. And so her story is, be aware. It's one of these moral, what are these things called? I used to love them when I was a kid. I don't think they're called fables, but they're something. It's like a moral kind of story, which I knew from the time I was little, that money doesn't make the person. Like there's more to the depth of the person. People can put on, like people can put on these masks and pretend to be something they're not, but I've always been able to see that that's not real, where there's a lot of people who are just learning that kind of stuff. So her thing is about this lesson to it. So she was getting married to a well-respected, very well-off, rich guy from her community or whatever, her religion or whatever it is, that where they get married to these people who are in their, not their cousin, but, somebody who's in their group. And so she was, getting this match or whatever with this well-respected rich guy. So, she thinks like she's hit the target, she's got the golden star, she's won. And so she goes and they have this great wedding and everything. And then she said they go, the first night they got married, she said it was really weird and awkward, and he didn't try anything. And so she just thought, well, he's waiting for the honeymoon. So they go on their honeymoon, and he's still not doing anything. He's not trying anything, and she doesn't want to do anything because she thinks then she's going to look like some kind of hoe. And so she's just kind of sitting back, like waiting for him to make a move. And he's not making a move. And then he wants to leave the honeymoon. He's like, well, my mom's sick. We got to get back home. And so she's like, so they get back home. And she keeps thinking like he's being respectful towards her. But it's also kind of making her feel like, what's up, man? Why don't you want to do it? Like they haven't consummated their marriage at this point. And so they get back home and she sees that the mom's not sick. And then she's questioning more, like, what the hell is going on? And he keeps, like, if she has to go somewhere, he's got to go somewhere else. He's not going with her. He's going to go hang out with his friends or whatever. So she's going to go to a family function, and he's going to go hang out with his friends. And she's just like, well, what the hell? And so she starts talking to one of her sisters or something and asking, like, I don't get it. What's going on? And I don't remember what her sister said. But so she's at some function or something, some party with her family, and her husband is gone, and somebody says something. And so she says, well, her husband's coming to pick her up. But she said she was lying, that she just called an Uber and she just left because she was, humiliated that her husband never comes to any of the things. So she goes and gets her Uber and she goes home. When she gets in the house, she hears all this grunting and groaning in the bedroom. And so she's like, what the hell's going on? And so she sneaks up and goes to the bedroom and she starts videotaping. Well, it's her husband, and he's in there just going to town with another guy. And so she gets this all on videotape. And so she videotapes all this. Then she does some big dramatic thing, slams open the door, throws something, and the guy freaks out and takes off. He takes off running. Well, her husband, he's not having it. He goes and he beats the crap out of her, telling her, and while he's beating her and kicking her in the face, kicking her in the ribs, and just beating the snot out of her, he is telling her that he is kind of like what that uncle was telling that girl, like, you're going down. You're going into crazy town. You are, how dare you? Just this whole thing. And she, which is so much like with this movie, this period of time, like women are still being treated like this, see? And there's parts being played because you learn from all these different parts. So so and it's weird because this was a time period piece, but in other cultures, there's still these things going on. And I had already seen in the Middle East that men look at the women as just like, you're the person who I continue my bloodline with, but I've got no attraction to you. They're attracted to, they're taught as young men to deal with little boys, and then the little boys, they're just taught to, that's where they get their sexual desires, is with other men. And I don't know that it's all of them. I can't say every single guy from the Middle East is this way. But it still is a continued practice in this culture. So so he's beating the crap out of her, telling her she's fucked now, and he's gonna leave her. He's gonna talk shit on her. She's not. If she says anything, he's gonna deny it and all this stuff. So then he leaves after he's done beating her or something or whatever. Maybe she sleeps on, I don't know. She gets up in the morning and she leaves and she goes to her dad's, and her dad is just can't even believe that what she's all beaten up. So she tells him, and then he goes, because this is his best friend's son. So he goes, talks to his best friend. So his best friend goes and beats his son and disowns his son. So his son is the one who lost all of the money. He lost his position. He lost everything. And he got his ass kicked. And so the moral to the story was, she was saying, make sure you get evidence and stuff. Don't, don't just pull the trigger, go and make sure that you are coming at it in a position of power, your own self, because he had no idea that she had gotten all this videotape. She had evidence. So she was always going to be the one who was going to win in this situation, but he had no idea because he didn't, he was into his stuff that he was doing in the bed, and he wasn't noticing that she's sitting there filming it. And so anyways, she won and he lost everything. And but she did have to get her ass kicked, and she did have to go through a lot of humiliation and stuff. And she was saying, just because somebody has position and money doesn't make them a good person. And it's like, that's something that I knew as a kid. But see, everybody's here learning things through different experiences. So we're all in a position as souls. We're all here learning. We're not in the position of being the observer of the watchers. We're not just that evolved of souls, like, I don't know, the Arcturians or something are supposedly such evolved souls that they just witness. They just are a part of the main brain. They're a part of the watching, but they also are in communication to people who channel, which there was a girl who was channeling the other day. And so she was saying that, so she channels, I can't remember, she gave the name, and she said she wants everybody to channel this person, which I've heard before. You can't just go and channel as any old person that somebody else has channeled. Because there was somebody who, because the lady who channeled Seth back in the 60s, with Seth, there was a lot of evidence. You know, Seth gave a lot of stuff that was, could be proven. So then there was a woman who, I don't know, in the 90s or something, so she said she was channeling Seth. But then people are like, well, that's not the same Seth. So, I don't know, you know, like, people like Bashar, or who's that other guy who's always channeling, I always think Bashar, and I don't know the energy of these people that they channel. It doesn't always seem like it's the highest, even though that they can give information. It doesn't seem like it's real high vibration, some of this stuff that they say. So I can't think of his name. I keep thinking Coinkos or something Quango, something. I can't remember, but anyways, but I have heard people say, well, I channel, you know, this same, you know, you have all these people channeling Archangel Michael and stuff. So I don't know. But so this girl was saying this person's name who she channels, and everybody needs to go talk to him. But I don't know. I would say go into learning how to talk to your higher self. And, you know, you're going to, when you open yourself up to the universal consciousness, there's going to be a lot of telepathy. You're going to get a lot of information. And that's where you got to decipher through the information, through your discernment, to understand what's the higher vibration, what's the lower vibration. Like, you know, calculate what it is you're hearing. And don't just, you know, because like I said, some of these people, they just seem like that they're channeling kind of lower vibrational beings. They could be trying to help on one point, but they're still very ego driven or something. So anyways, but this person who she's channeling said that they're doing something with the spraying in the sky that is blocking vitamin D, and that everybody's got a low vitamin D right now. And so she was saying you need to go out and get your vitamin D checked, or take vitamin D, which I haven't been taking it because I've been out in the sun so much. But now it's like, well, I may as well take it. So I don't know if, you know, I mean, I know that they're doing a lot of things to destroy our health, which is an illusion. The whole thing is just so weird. But anyways, so you can be low with the vitamin D. And there's something else about the channeling I wanted to say. Because, oh yeah, because there was this other person who she said she's channeling Ra, which Ra is out of the Book of One, which that was those college professors. And they had the channeling lady. So they were channeling, and they may have been trying to prove that the lady who was channeling Seth was bullshit. I don't know. But so they went to try and, you know, figure out, because there was some scientist or something from a college that was trying to prove that Seth was bullshit, but they couldn't prove Seth was bullshit. But these other ones that were channeling Ra, and Ra said that he or it was a state of conscious, it was a collective consciousness, which I believe we are creating a collective consciousness right now at this point in time. That's how, like, we're all playing a role of a thought form of existence, which would add into, excuse me, lady, add into the conscious mind, the God's mind, you know. So but I think it's the girl in Australia, because she was saying that she's talking to Ra, but I don't know, because I've always heard that you can't just channel somebody else's channel, of, you know, that you're not talking to the same person. So I don't know. You know, it's all, you just got to use your discernment on all the information that is being said. But the Raw from the Book of One said it was a collective consciousness from an experience, like another world time, that had all of the stuff happen and everything that it learned. So it was trying to express it to us because we were going through it again. It's just like all these souls, they'll just keep going through these different times, but they'll become more knowledgeable. So it will become easier to go through it. They won't meet with so much resistance. But a part of the resistance is part of their programming, because they can't, wake up before they're supposed to wake up. They can't see what they're not supposed to see because they're supposed to continue with the role that they're playing. And so you can't, that's why it's what is that, fruitless, futile, something to try and wake somebody up. Just like you can't save somebody, you can't wake them up, because that's where you as the soul has to look at life or the experience more on the soul's level to see the bigger picture, to see the bigger point. Because you get too caught up in the storyline, and then you think like, you gotta save people, you gotta help people, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. But this is a game, and we're all in playing this game, and we all have different roles to play in the game, and it goes along with our soul's journey. And so you can't disrupt another soul's journey. That's when you are creating a karmic kind of debt. Stella keeps pushing on this thing. Excuse me, ma'am. She's so fucking cute though. God, she's a little cutie pie. But okay, so she pushes me. She pushes me. Yesterday I decided to take him for an evening walk. I'm not doing that again. It's just too much going on out there in the evening. The people on their ATVs and everything. So we're just kind of cruising through the yard, and they're sniffing around. And we get down to by the street, and this ATV is going by with her dog off leash running behind her. There's this cute black lab running behind her, just all innocent, and she's just driving her thing. It could have been a guy, I don't know. The person had long hair, but so they go past us. Well, Stella and Archie, he's a little terror. They decide, because Max, he's way more of a passive, like, I don't want to be involved. He could have been running towards it, like, hey, let's meet. Hey, what are you doing out here? I want to run with you. Hey, I want to come. Because he's more of like a free spirit like that. He just wants to go out and run around. But, oh, Lord, this lady has a stinky one. She's itching her ear. I'm about to clean her ears. The stinky ears, the stinky butt. Oh, she's a little stinky old lady. So, anyways, so they go to take off, and we're right up at this, where the water ditch thing is that is in front of the houses. So when the water goes, it's supposed to go into the ditch line, whatever it is. So we're right there, and it's all pine needles. So as soon as they see this dog go by, especially Stella's a powerhouse. Like, she just yanks and just goes. And so it yanked me, and I've got all leashes that all have the shock absorber thing. So, but as it yanked me, I got pulled through the pine needles and started going, whoa, like I'm going down the hill skiing on this, and I let go of the leash because there was nothing. I had to save myself. So I started sliding down into the ditch on these pine needles, and the dogs take off and go running chasing this dog. Well, this dog was not aggressive at all. He goes tearing back the other direction. and as they're trying to run, Stella gets herself twisted in the leash, and she falls, which always breaks my heart. She's been falling so much lately. She used to be such a little walk. She was like Archie, only in big size. And now she falls a lot and stuff. It breaks my heart. She's such a precious. God, I want these med beds. I just want her to get fixed. So anyways, so I go walking down there now, and this poor dog is sitting over there just like, down enough, because they're not chasing him anymore because they're stuck. Because once Stella went down, the other two couldn't go anywhere. So they're just sitting there. I'm sure Archie was barking his head off at this dog, and this dog's just sitting over there like, ooh. And this person's gone off further and hasn't realized that they're not with them yet. So I get down there and I start untwisting Stella out of the leash because she's got it twisted around her foot. And the lady or guy person sees, and so they turn around on their ATV to come back and get their dog, and their dog is scared shitless. So they're trying to get the dog up on their lap on their ATV. The dog is scared to death. I'm trying to get my dog untied, and I'm walking him back. And so anyways, I know she's extra sore today because she had, I don't know, a couple of falls, and then she got herself twisted up in there. Oh, here comes Max. Yes, you're a good boy. He's got his sweater back on now, so he's very happy. He really loves to have his sweater on, but it hasn't been too hot to have it on. But anyways, my stomach's growling. I'm not gonna be doing an evening walk again. That was hellacious. It's like the early morning walk is better than the evening because there's just too much activity going on, and everything is so extremely loud and stuff lately too. It's like, god dang, the boats sound like they're going up to the driveway. So everything is intense right now. Everything is intense. And yet my mom came back yesterday and she's like, I think I'm getting sick. And I was like, oh, well, I've been sick for days. It's like I've had my throat ache, everything aching on my joints. I'm exhausted. And so she said hers was starting in her eyes. She said her eyes were so bad. My goodness. And then, but she said she's getting all the lymph node thing. So anyways, I don't know, this sickness is just fucking poisoning all the time. But wherever I'm in this story, I'm trying to hold this fucking thing up, just jolting it everywhere. So, anyways, but there was a couple of new things that I wanted to say on this stuff. For one thing, I'm getting this thing. I swear to God, I put all my money into things for my health, which is a huge endeavor. So now I'm getting this vibrating table thing, whatever the hell it is. It's some kind of thing you stand on, you can exercise on it, you can sit on it, all this stuff, and it vibrates you really quick and hard. And it's good for your muscles and it's good for your lymphatic drainage. I don't even know all. We'll see. We'll see. So I have one of those that's supposed to be coming, which I'll only really have like a week to use it because I can't take it on the airplane. I can probably take it with me to my daughter's. But if that pans out, we gotta see what happens because I don't know if Florida gets destroyed underwater, are they gonna really be pulling up with ships and being like, ah, well, you guys take a little boat out here, get on your ship, or are they gonna cancel trips because of disaster? We'll just gotta wait and see. And in each disaster, it can be really affect certain places and not affect every place. But I don't know. There's a lot of speculation on this one, so we'll just gotta see how it all pans out. But this thing is already doing a lot of stuff that's not typical. So it's changing speeds real quick. It's changing directions. It's got another one behind it. It's got a cold front in front of it, a cold one behind it. It's like all the perfect storm is being created. And so, but so I've got this vibration plate thing coming that we'll see, I'll tell you how that, if it, whatever I think of it, whatever I get from it, I don't know. There's all these women saying all this stuff, but so many people are just out there trying to sell you something. And so, I'll give my real thing because I'm not trying to sell it. I'm not linked into any kind of, go on my link and I'll make money if you buy it. So I'll tell you anything you want to hear. And so anyways, but those videos kept popping up and popping up and popping up. So then at some point I'm like, okay, well, I'm listening. I'll try it out. So I'm going to try it out. And then another one is for the hair loss thing. And so it's pumpkin seed oil pills, which I have pumpkin seeds. So I've been eating pumpkin seeds, but this pumpkin seed oil, everybody is saying that their hair started growing back, and it has sal palmetto, so it's good for men's prostate, it's good for bladder control, it's good for sleeping, it's got a whole bunch of things that it's really good for. But all these people, like when you go in the reviews, they all start saying, well, my hair has stopped falling out. And I saw one woman, and she was showing, like, she's been on it for like a year though, I think she said. And she, her hair, like she had like real, like what you would think, like you would be seeing a lot of crazy hair growing if I'm having a lot of hair growth. And so she had it like that. And so she had a lot of hair growing out like alfalfa all over her head. So, and that's what you would think if you're going to start growing a lot of hair all of a sudden, that you're going to start seeing it growing out because it's going to stick up and stick out like alfalfa. So anyways, I'm going to try that because what they say that it does is block DHT or something. And DHT, I don't know, they mess with all of our hormones and shit. So anyways, but that is something that makes your hair fall out. So it blocks it so your hair stops falling out. So I'm going to try it and see. So I've got the seed, um, pumpkin seed oil pills. I'm going to fry. I've put all this stuff on. I'm putting on subscription. I'm going to keep on the collagen. So I'm going to do the collagen again. And I'm going to, because that is, you use such a huge scoop of that. And it's just one little thing. So it's really literally like a month. So I'm going to give it more time. I'm still not, these chew things, I'm still, like, I'm not totally, like, that's just, I was looking in the mirror with better light yesterday upstairs, and I was like, nah, for how much those cost and stuff, there's got to be something else going on. The B12, I'm going to stay on the B12 though, because I definitely feel more energetic. I don't know. I feel like the B12 is good. So I'm sticking on the B12. On the lion's mane, I'm going to switch over to these mushroom pills. So I'm going to switch off of the lion's mane in my tea and switch on to these multi-mushroom pill thing and see what I get from that. But I'm going to stay on lion's mane, but I'm just going to try these pills. The lemon balm, I'm going to stay on the lemon balm. I'm going to stay on the chlorophyll or whatever those pills are. I'm going to stay on what is the lemon balm, the B12, the collagen, the beetroot. I don't know if I'd mentioned that, but I'm putting that in my teas now. So the beetroot is in my teas, and that's got a whole bunch of benefits too. You can look up about the beetroot. I'm being more cautious on how much moringa and how much matcha I use. I'm not being all just like, oh, just drink as much as you want of it, because there's a lot of these things that I didn't think of, like, no, you're not supposed to take over a certain amount of some of this stuff. It's like, well, it could be my problem. And but so I'm going to start the pumpkin seed oil. So I'm going to keep eating my pumpkin seeds until then, but I'm going to start the pumpkin seed oil and the collagen, the B12, all that Friday. So this coming Friday is where I'm going to get a big order of that. So next week I'll have that. But I've got so many of these things. It's like, I'm not going to be able to take all these in my bag on my trip. So there will be 5 days where I'm probably not going to have all the things. I don't know. I might try and take some, but fuck, they're so picky over what you can even take on the plane. And so it's all just control. Such fucking bullshit. But and so right now I'm not trying to do the P6 stuff. I'm going to see if this doesn't, I don't know. I might just kind of go through, like, use some of the fig toothpaste, because that's the nano. And then I've already gone through one tube of it. I've got a second tube. So, and then I've got the P6, which I've just started the one tube, and I've got another tube of that. And I gave one to my mom. But I also have the Uncle Harry's or whatever, the paste and the mouthwash. So yesterday I've been doing both the peroxide and the Uncle Harry's, and then I've been brushing my teeth with the Uncle Harry's, which has got bentonite clay. It's got a whole bunch of natural stuff. So when you go and look at the ingredients of it, it really is natural. These other ones, it still has stuff in it. So anyways, I'm going to kind of rotate maybe through those. But it still is sore. It's still sore. And I still, like, I feel like if I push down here, it keeps making me think, like, do I have an infection? Like, but, I mean, if I go and I say, here, pull it, like, I don't know. It seems like I just got to keep going towards working on healing it. And I swear to God, I feel like that it seems like it's closing in. I feel like that's why it seems like the hole seems deeper, because the sides are closing in. So I don't know, because then it's like, well, is the hole getting deeper? Is it, decaying more in there? But it seems like parts of it are growing, but it is sore, still sore. And like, I mean, by November, it's going to be a year that this has been going. So it was around then is when it broke. And I think when it broke, it was like half my fucking tooth broke. So it's, it probably is a lot to heal. And then, we're fighting against them. Like if they're blocking the vitamin D, they're blocking it. You can't get your iron up. You can't get this. You can't get that. It's like, you know, uh, like I said, it's like you're trying to climb a waterfall for your health in this world. So, anyways, but that's where we're at. And when I look in the light, I think like, depending on the lighting, where it looks like the hole is really deep and black, and then other times when I'll be like, well, wait a minute, it looks kind of like it's just gray. It doesn't look as deep as I think, but it does seem like the edges are coming in closer. So, but it can't cross over. I don't think it can cross over. I think it has to go from the inside and move its way out. That's how your body has to heal, anyways. It's fake ass halogen, whatever, holographic bodies that we have. But anyways, that's what I'm doing right now. Uh, it seems like this. God, it's so sensitive. Oh, no, I'm telling you, there's times where I just want to fucking rip it out, but then I know that's going to hurt, and then that can become infected. That can be a problem, and then I constantly have a hole right there. So I do want to keep trying to heal it, because I already have this place over here where the doctor broke those teeth. It's like, fucking hell, man. So I just, it would have been nice to be in a, tribe and an island somewhere where we just chewed on leaves and we had perfect teeth. But in this world, where we came to learn about, I think, our sovereignty and our health, and not trusting these other people, because then it, ends up being that they are uh, pursuant of money and success through liars and thieves. So, anyways, it's just all shenanigans, and it's all convoluted, and it's all crazy. And I don't know. I don't know if I finished saying all the things I was going to say. Who knows? Like, everything's chaotic. I feel chaotic. This world is everything's chaos right now. But at least I don't feel as yesterday. I was feeling like, oh my God, what the fuck? But I feel like more, it's crazy, because it is just like this emotional roller coaster, just up here, down here, up here, down there. It's just like, all over the place. And we have more roller coasters flying off the things still. So it's all the micro, macro. So, anyways, but that's what I got going, I think, is the new things I'm going to add in. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm feeling really optimistic about this pumpkin seed oil, because that was another thing that just kept coming to me and coming to me. And I kept on skipping by. But then I started being like, okay, I'm listening. Okay, I'm listening. And then it started being, okay, I'm going to try it out. So that's where I feel like my guidance comes from, which it kind of trips me out, because now they're saying that the AI, like Chat GPT and stuff, like knows what you want, so it's only feeding into your fantasy or something. So it's like, well, is that what our algorithm is doing all this time, where I think I'm having a communication from my guides are communicating to me, and then but it's me communicating to myself through an algorithm of my own. I don't know. Like I said, everything's so convoluted, everything's so crazy, and you can drive yourself crazy trying to figure it out. So who knows? Go with your gut. just, we just got to learn to trust ourselves and go with your gut, and I don't know, detach from this weirdo fucking world. But don't kid yourself. There will be a point in time where you will go back to save somebody. It's just the way it works. So, anyways, but until then, just remember what we are doing, because we do want to get over to this place where everybody loves everybody else, and you can't get there unless you learn how to love yourself. You gotta love everybody to get over there, and you gotta learn how to have the day you want to have, because it's up to you. So learn how to focus on the positive, and we will talk about it more tomorrow. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.